Welcome, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and this is our year-end wrap-up show for 2019. I'm Steve Hammis from Drive Time, and I am here today with a couple of guys from the Limited Slip blog. This is Scott, this is Chris. Guys, how are you?
Good. Doing good.
Tell us about the Limited Slip blog before we get going here and talk about our favorites and least favorite vehicles that we test drove in 2019.
All right. Limited Slip is a long-form blog-style website where we do reviews, car news, go to all the auto shows. We get to see Steve a lot.
Well, my viewers are probably familiar with you guys because you guys have been in my videos before, whether we travel to auto shows or...
We make cameos.
Yes, yes.
Behind the camera.
We've done year-end reviews before. We skipped last year, but we're back this year because the demand was so high. We decided to pull out the camera and do it again. But we do auto shows together, and these guys help me out with some of my shoots sometimes, so you may recognize them if you peek behind the windshield. You'll see them there, and I appreciate that. So we are going to start, and we're going to do this kind of in a rough kind of way, just kind of talking about our most impressive vehicles we drove this year, our most disappointing vehicles we drove this year, some of the best looking vehicles that we drove this year, some of the most fun vehicles, and then a little talk at the end about some of the technologies that we're seeing in cars that we either like or don't like. So that's pretty much where we're going. Now to start off, let's set this up here. I have test driven 63 vehicles this year. When I say test drive, I mean that's a full review. We all drive more than we actually test drive. We go to a lot of events. We test drive a lot of vehicles briefly. I'm not really counting those in this list, but you guys are up to what now?
50, 54, something like that?
Yeah, and so we're going to have a lot of crossover here, but I saw your list and there are a lot of things there that I didn't drive and probably vice versa. So we're just going to kind of chime in when we have opinions about various things. But I'll kick things off here under the most impressive list. And the most impressive car, this is my Car of the Year award. No need to bury the lead here. We're going to go right to it. This is the Bmw X7. And in particular, I had the xDrive 50i model with the twin turbo. It was pricey at $112,000, but I was just so impressed both with the power, the super quiet, even more quiet than a Lexus interior, the technology, the whimsy they brought in there with some of the lighting and that sort of thing. I think it looks great when you see it coming down the road, and you actually see quite a few of them on the road.
Yeah, we see a lot around here now.
Yeah, the X7. That is my Car of the Year award right there. So if you haven't watched that video yet, wait till this is over and then go check that out after that.
And now the video's over.
Don't go yet. All right, so I'm just going to run through a few more here, and if you guys have driven it, chime in, give me your thoughts. One of the things I wanted to mention as most impressive, the most impressive part about the Dodge Durango SRT that I drove is, yes, the vehicle in itself is impressive, but it's how FCA keeps these dinosaurs just relevant. And I think they did a heck of a job with that vehicle. It still looks good. Yeah. It's power crazy. It's still comfortable. And they upgrade the tech in there. I mean, they are the masters of taking something and keeping it fresh.
Well, the big thing with the Durango is now every variant looks like the SRT too, so you have no idea which one is the SRT until you actually look at it.
Yep.
But it's definitely a strong contender still in that segment.
It's amazing.
It's big too.
It's big. It's got a great third row. Obviously the SRT is for very few people, but that does trickle down into the other models. I would still advocate for those other lesser Durangos.
I think the RT with the 5.7 is a great all-rounder, and the SRT, we actually had the opportunity to drive it for a week in the winter. And as a daily driver in the snow, in the cold,
I love that thing. What a great family vehicle. And if you really want to go for it, go for the SRT. Okay, another vehicle on my list. While everybody was talking about the Supra this year, everybody's going super crazy. Guess what? The Bmw Z4 is a better car. I don't care what you say. Hey, they make the Supra anyway. This is the original. It's almost like the Supra's a copycat.
We didn't drive the Z4, you drove the Supra.
I had a couple miles in the Supra.
Yep, we were down at Monticello Motor Club a couple of months ago.
Yep. Did not get behind the wheel of the Z4. Supra thoughts, I don't know, it's a mixed bag. I think it's comfortable, it feels very Germanic as it's...
Did you drive that on the track? Oh no, they didn't allow us to take that on the track.
No, we didn't.
Okay.
I had two sections on the road.
Right.
And I actually did drive it back to back with the new 3 Series just to get a sense of where it is. I like it. The sound to me is artificial, but the sports car feel is there. The pieces of the
Some
muscle
people are all
there.
upset that it doesn't have a manual transmission.
I'm a diehard manual guy. Steve.
I know you
know
are.
that about me. You'll hear it from me later in the video.
And Scott and I are like, whatever. I don't. In the right car, I need it.
And I didn't miss it.
I don't die if it's not there.
I didn't miss it in the Supra.
Yeah. I thought, and I like convertibles. So for me, that Z4 just had that appeal to it, and I took that out on one summer night just before the fall hit, and ran it up to our state park, and with the top down. It was just like, oh, this is the car I would want in my garage for the weekend. Mm-hmm. Not super practical, but a great car in my mind. All right, an SUV that we are seeing a ton of on the road from the Hyundai Kia people is the Hyundai Palisade. Now you see a lot of Tellurides too. The Palisade went on sale a little bit after that. Mm-hmm. I thought the Palisade was an absolute hit because it goes back to that company's ethos of giving you more for less.
I think they're priced at an amazing price point. You get a ton of car or SUV for the money.
Right.
And the tech for me is always a standout compared to.
It's so good. It's so easy to use. If you were to compare the infotainment system in a Hyundai or Kia vehicle, and I don't care at what level, you can go down to their lesser vehicles, and you compare that to, say, something from like a Lexus. Oh. I just drove a $100,000 Lexus sedan. You could buy a $15,000 Kia with a better infotainment system than that.
It's crazy. One of my standouts on the list this year, to jump ahead, is the new G70. I really think that Genesis is a standout for me, just from a performance standpoint, from a value for money, and the tech compared to the Mercedes, the BMW, the Audi. The interface is so simple. Everything that you need that is at your fingertips is a button or a dial. Right. There's no complicated interface. I can't tell you how long it takes me to get used to driving a Mercedes and being able to change the radio station or adjust the seat. The Hyundai, the Kia,
they know how to do it.
It's right there.
They really know how to do it. And the Germans could, although Audi's gotten a lot better, they have jumped ahead in my mind of the other two as far as ease of use. But we'll get back to that. I also drove the G70. It didn't quite make my list. And their biggest hindrance right now is obviously a dealer network and just brand recognition. People just don't know yet what Genesis is, unless you follow the auto industry.
And they need an SUV.
And it's coming. The GV70, is that what's 80? Excuse me. Okay, that is coming. That is coming. So next up is the Ford Ranger for me. That entered the market and immediately became the best truck in its segment. It's better than Frontier. It's better than Tacoma. Sorry, Toyota people, it is. And I think it's a fantastic job by Ford right out of the gate.
Steve, is it great because it's miles ahead better just because it's newer, or is it comparatively better?
I think you can fall into that trap sometimes. I don't believe that's the case with the Ranger. I really don't. When you look at the features it gave you, and it gave you a better overall package, whereas the Tacoma is often thought of as like an off-road truck, especially when it's spec'd correctly. I thought the Ranger gave you this excellent balance of everyday usability and capability. And obviously, when it came to accoutrements and amenities and stuff like that, it left Toyota way in the dust.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind is that Ranger has been on sale globally now for multiple years, just like the current Tacoma. So, actual life cycle-wise, they're about the same.
Right. And which one is holding up better?
We'll see it with reliability studies.
Yeah, but I'm going to get into that. Let's go there right now, as a matter of fact, because I take such heat. I've kind of beat up Toyota this year, and a lot of people are on my case about it, But you know what? It's like they're constantly pushing the envelope of how little can we give you for how much we charge. There's always something in a Toyota you can't believe isn't in there.
I think from a technology standpoint, Steve, they fall behind.
Yeah.
I think they've been so reticent to move on from their current platform and architecture. The screens haven't gotten any better. The UI hasn't gotten any better. Toyota's-
Actually, the Camry's infotainment's good now. The new
Yes,
one.
we should differentiate. Their new vehicles,
Yes.
Camry, Avalon, RAV4,
Yep.
are here.
Yep.
But they have let too many of their vehicles kind of lay in the weeds for too long and lie in the weeds. Sorry.
Right.
And, you know, they just take so darn long to keep things fresh.
And it's interesting how excited the owners get when,
Oh,
yeah.
when one new feature, right?
Yeah.
Was it last year
Yeah.
when the Tundra
New
got LED lighting?
Yeah.
Oh, gotta go get a new
It's
Tundra.
amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
It's amazing.
Android Auto in the RAV4
Yeah.
and the Tacoma, right? Gotta go get a new Tacoma.
Yeah.
Got Android Auto. They string you along and string you along, but to be fair, the things just don't break.
Now, anecdotally, I would agree with you. And I own an '01 Tacoma pre-runner, so I can tell you I've had very few problems with that over the course of the past 19 years. However, and people have a problem with this too. I'm sorry, JD Power is currently, it may be flawed, it may not be perfect, but it is the industry standard for measuring such things. And do you want to know where that Tacoma ends up? Near the bottom of the pack in that segment in terms of reliability and initial quality. So, you know, and here's the thing. If your vehicle breaks, you're going to have a bad opinion of that vehicle or brand. And if yours doesn't, you're going to have a different opinion. I think it's much like recalls with cars. The only people that care about the recalls are the people that own those cars. Otherwise, nobody really cares.
That's true.
I've gone off on a tangent here. Because if you want to see some real vitriol towards me, you go to my latest Tacoma video, and man, I am like a punching bag on there for
We were talking about that
220,000
before the
people.
cameras even were rolling. We were
Yes.
talking about the
Yeah.
Tacoma and your thoughts and our
Hey,
thoughts.
Toyota people love their disc brakes and 5-speed transmissions. What can I say? They
I
just
have a
absolutely love it.
I have a 2014 FJ, 5-speed auto.
You have a 2014 FJ.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have a 2020 something or other that you're paying top dollar for that still has that tech in it. I mean, come on. I digress. Okay, now this is this car was the most fun I had, I think, in a car of any price point all year. And it was the Hyundai Veloster N, which also has taken home some other awards. I was just blown away by how much fun that was to shift, the power, the chassis, the cool looks. Just a blast.
I totally agree. Everything that you look for in a performance car is there. The touch points are all right. The credentials in terms of what you get equipped out of the box are
Right.
all there. I think we both drove the same car that had the performance package,
Mhm,
right? So we got those upgrades that you absolutely have to have.
Yeah, you can't leave those off. That's an absolute must.
And even then, it's still what, 30 grand?
The price was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you do pay for it a little bit. The interior experience, if you take a second to look around
Yes.
on the
Yeah.
things you're not
Right.
touching,
Right.
Don't reach down here.
It's
Yeah,
not,
don't reach
it's
up
not
here.
quite
Headliner, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But you know what? At that price point, you
Who
can
cares?
forgive them for that stuff.
Yep.
Because that car packs in so much performance per dollar that I don't think it can be beat.
the sound, the responsiveness, it just makes you smile.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to drive that car all the time. And, you know, again, I like a stick shift in the right car. I think that was the right, like, that's a car where I'd say, no automatic transmission. I need a stick shift in that. But,
And I was lucky enough to jump out of that and immediately into a Civic Type R. And the Type R, I mean, the power numbers are close. They're both front wheel drive platforms. The Type R gives you a little bit more refinement, but I'm not sure I could justify the cost.
yeah, the price, the difference.
If all I really want out of a car is performance, I'm gonna go the Veloster N.
I only drove the Type R briefly on a quick run around the road down in Monticello, but I agree with you. I mean,
Doesn't the Hyundai has better tires too, doesn't it? Aren't they the 4Ss?
I
Oh, that's
think, oh boy, I don't know. I'd have to look back and see.
I'd have to look. I
Yeah.
think that's just because of the platform is newer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I don't think Honda has a deal with Michelin anyway. I think they're more Pirelli. But
I
whatever.
don't know. I think the biggest thing on the Honda Civic Type R that affects how it handles is how little sidewall it has.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
The Hyundai,
Rubber bands.
consciously they went with more sidewall.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
It pays off.
Oh, definitely.
It
So-
rode well too.
Yeah, I love
I thought
that
it
car
rode
is
better than you
Some
would think.
people have commented on my video though, and I don't know if this is true or not, that the waiting list for that car is phenomenal. Like that's not a car you can just go to the dealer and pick up off the lot. I don't know if that's true.
I see a couple around. I don't see I see more Type Rs than I see those.
Right.
I say good for them.
Yeah.
You know,
keep it
really
exclusive.
Well,
You
well
get
done,
exclu-
Hyundai.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking forward to the new Sonata N-Line they're doing.
Yes, I didn't drive that. I don't know if I have yet. They just had a launch, but I don't like the looks of that new Sonata at all. I haven't liked it since the first day I laid my eyes on it in the New York Auto Show.
Yeah.
It has that same catfish Malibu-esque front end that I never liked.
Yeah.
That's just me.
I like it.
Okay.
I need to see it on the road. We saw
Yeah, I
it,
need to
we
see it
saw
in
it,
person.
you know, at the auto
Yeah,
shows
right.
for the debut, but I
Yeah.
need to see it in natural light.
Okay, so this is a car I know we both drove this year, the Challenger Hellcat Redeye wide body. Which again, give FCA credit. I mean, here's this car, right, that's been literally like untouched for a decade practically, you know, other than a few little bits here and there.
Yeah.
And they come out with 1,000 versions of it, new engines, more, and that thing was phenomenal because it took the Hellcat and made it not only more fun to drive, but just more everyday manageable. It kept it planted on the road.
Yeah. Well, 305 tires all the way around kind of helps that. But
You're absolutely right. I think the regular Hellcat felt skittish
Yeah.
when you were pushing it.
You can't take off in that car without
No.
getting the back end side.
No.
But you're right, the wide body, just something about that re-engineered suspension, the wider track,
Right.
the bigger tires.
The supercharger whine,
It just
mixed
felt
all
like
in
you
with
could
that.
push and
Yeah.
push and push.
Yeah.
And you knew where the limits were, and there
Right.
are limits, and they're there quickly, but you just get a sense that you're more connected.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It was one of those cars where when you first get it on the day one, you're a little timid, like what's it gonna do to me? And then you realize like this thing is actually more planted than
Oh,
you
yeah.
ever would have thought. And then you're like whipping through turns like crazy. And it's
You can drive that thing no problem.
yeah, that is a fun car.
Pick up the Charger.
Okay, now here's one that
The Charger's better. It just is.
yeah, I want to try the new wide body Charger.
We do too.
Yeah, so
longer wheelbase.
let's do it. The Audi Q8 I drove, I think it was back in the spring, and I was just really impressed with it. I know that coupe-styled SUV thing is often derided for its impracticalities and that sort of thing due to this, but that thing was so cool looking. It came in that dragon orange color. The tech in it was good. I just really enjoyed that. I thought, well, the Q7 kind of bores me. The Q8 really took it up a notch.
That's also the least coupe-looking coupe
It is.
SUV
That's true.
on the market.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the new Audi interior, which launched on the Q8. You know, I think that's a next level interior.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Yep. Excellent vehicle. And then here's one that I know you helped me drive actually for the segment back in the day, which was the Volkswagen Jetta GLI, which was unveiled I think at the Chicago Auto Show back in February. We had it shortly after that, and I had a stick shift. It was fun. It was light. It had all those Volkswagen qualities that everybody appreciates about that car.
Yeah, it's sporty, but it's grown up. You know, it doesn't make you feel like a boy racer.
Right.
It's immensely practical, and it was just a ton of fun to throw around on back roads.
Oh, it was. That's a fun car. They have that balance in those cars so perfectly dialed in from comfort and performance. And I like the way it looks, and it's affordable. It's one of those cars that's attainable. You know, it's some of these things we're talking about are out of most people's price ranges. That's something that most people could probably find a way to get into.
$30 grand, and actually the mid-trim level one's the one with the adaptive suspension and things like that. So that's probably the best one to go for if you don't need all the luxuries.
Right. I found a car that I think bumped the E-Class from its mid-size luxury segment domination, which I think is the new A6. Again, Audi's impressing me with what they're doing right now. I think the fact that they upgraded the MMI system was a huge step forward, and then their designs are just so kind of sexy, and they've got the lighting down, and I thought the A6 was just a phenomenal car.
I don't disagree. We didn't drive one,
Yep.
but I think all their cars are boring looking.
Even the A6?
Yeah, they all look the same. Every single,
Well,
which is
you could say that
derivative.
about all the German brands, couldn't you? At this
Yes,
You could,
Yes.
but I feel like Mercedes has fallen into that trap more so recently than ever.
Oh, absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
I personally can't tell them apart anymore.
point? We're car guys. This is all we do, right? This is what we do. If we can't distinguish the vehicle coming down the road, I mean, and I have that trouble too sometimes. I look at stuff thinking, I can't tell what that is anymore.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they really need to differentiate not only the different models, but the different trim levels within the model range should have I can't remember what brand, maybe you guys can remind me of which one this is. Somebody came out recently and they have a test now where, I don't know, it's 50 yards away. If that person, I think it's Hyundai, if that person couldn't identify the specific trim of that model from 50 yards away from something else, then they said that they didn't do enough to distinguish it. I think that's a cool thing to do.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
Yeah, totally. I mean, people want the exclusivity. They want to be able to stand out from
Right.
the crowd.
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely.
And so you want a car that reflects that. And whether or not your E-Class looks like an S-Class, or you can't tell that you got the AMG line
Right.
versus the run-of-the-mill, if there is one, then I don't think you're quite there.
Yeah, I mean, a C300 looks identical to a C43 or whatever it is now, and you can get the same wheels, same body kit, same everything. And other than that badge on the corner, you have no idea.
And all you have to do is look on YouTube and see all these guys out there that do just that on the cheap, right? They give their cars the look of something higher up for like a few $100.
Yep.
It's insane. Okay, so my next car on the list here, this is still in the most impressive range. We're just kind of breaking down some of my best rides of
It's a long
2019
list.
here. Yeah, sorry, it's coming to an end. We're getting into the bad stuff soon, which I know you guys all love. The Toyota RAV4. Now, I didn't love it, but it's going to make my list here because I like the direction they took it in. It's got some real off-road cred to it. It's like, you find a lot of these small crossover SUVs are just kind of, they have all-wheel drive, big deal. That RAV4, we took off-roading. And now they have a TRD off-road model, if I'm not mistaken, which I'd like to drive.
Yeah, 2020.
I was impressed with what they did with that.
I don't know, Steve.
You disagree with me on this?
I didn't get to take it off-road the same way that you did. I did drive it on the road quite a bit. Is it fuel efficient? Yes. Is it more spacious and more refined inside?
The interior's nice.
Yeah, the interior's good.
Yeah, the interior's good.
No, I know where you're going with this, but go ahead.
But it still is an appliance to drive. It created no feeling or emotion in me, and that's what I look for.
That's why I put that little asterisk on my initial statement on that. Yeah,
and I had this weird noise from that new all-wheel drive system, right?
Yeah.
That the Adventure and the limited grades get.
I think I had the Adventure.
Yeah,
That was an odd.
they get that new all-wheel drive system with the rear driveline disconnect, and there was just this meshing noise in traffic that I would get when the rear driveline would disconnect.
Yep.
That's a brand new car.
Right.
We drive them with relatively low mileage on them.
Yeah.
Well,
Other manufacturers do that too. Let's look towards Buick, right? Not Buick. No, I'm thinking of is that the GKN line drive system they have in the Buicks that does the disconnect as well?
It's now even in the Chevys, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Anyway,
My point is that there's a lot of brands doing that. They don't have that problem.
don't have
So
that
you know it can be done without it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, next one for me is the Kia Forte, which I think that can run head to head with the Honda Civic.
It's a little smaller.
It's more, the way I would tell people if you're looking at that segment, the Forte is more like a mini luxury car, whereas the Civic's more of a little mini driver's car.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Forte's impressive for the money.
Oh yeah, the infotainment.
Yeah,
comes down to that.
Phenomenal.
The tech in the Kia is way better. Honda still has their I don't even know what they call it. Their
Honda Link.
Yeah, there you go. It's just not good.
I don't mind the Honda system so much, but I felt like the Kia just gave me like this impression that I was sitting in like a mini Optima or something, at a bargain basement price, and it drove well, it was quiet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's wicked underrated. Like, you don't see a lot of them. I think if more people knew about that car, if they advertised it more, you might steal some sales there.
Oh yeah.
That's
Plus
true.
it looks good.
Yeah, it looks good.
LED
That
headlights,
whole
taillights.
segment has come a long way. The new Corolla hatchback, I would put that on.
The Corolla hatchback is,
and it's a ton of fun to drive too.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, because I'm going so long-winded here, I'm going to bang out these last few here rather quickly. So I had the Hyundai Santa Fe, which used to be called the Santa Fe Sport on my list. The Volvo V60 I thought was a great reimagining of that wagon. That has done well for them. Really enjoyed that. The Ram 1500 Limited, which is the new benchmark in the full-size truck segment in terms of refinement and in luxury features and ride quality. And then I put the Acura RDX in there, even though I really don't like that they went to a Lexus-like, though somewhat better, touchpad controller for their infotainment system. That vehicle was good enough to make me think, geez, maybe I could live with that, because it's that darn good.
You've left us no time for our own, Steve.
Go.
Right? I mean, we
Yes.
talked about the Genesis G70. I really liked that a ton. The Veloster N, absolutely agree with you there. I was really impressed with the new Lexus ES.
Oh yeah, I drove that. That was slightly out of my year. That was
outside
Thanksgiving of
your year.
18, so I didn't include it, but I agree with you.
I think we drove it in the end of last year, early beginning of this year.
ES is awesome.
That was really good.
Which doesn't surprise you. The Camry's great. The
Camry's
Avalon's great. The ES is going to be great. What else you guys got there? Anything good?
You didn't talk about the G-Wagon, Steve. You
You know, I have it on here.
It's on there
I
somewhere.
skipped it.
I think it's on your first page.
I skipped it.
How'd you
Yes,
miss that?
I did. The AMG G63.
I don't
We
know
had
how
the
Steve
550.
pulls it off. Steve always has a slightly better trim level. We had the G550 with the V8 without the air suspension. Still, I mean, market improvement in luxury. It's like sitting in an S-Class that's also a tank.
Yeah,
I mean, that thing can go anywhere. You know it weighs a ton. You know it doesn't move like a car. But the experience that you get, the looks that you get, and just the
It's the
interior.
ultimate status symbol.
It is.
And before, I think it was kind of more just like for posers, you know, who wanted to look cool. Now it's more of a real vehicle to it. You know what I mean?
The funny thing is, when you actually get in one and drive it, you don't realize how small it is.
Yeah, right.
It's small.
Yeah, it's not big dimensionally speaking.
It's easy to drive. You can see out of it real well. You can place it in the lane real easy. It's tiny.
And that in the engine in the G63 is just ridiculous. I mean, and I had a first edition. I think it was I want to say it was about $174,000 as tested.
They're pricey, but I mean,
they hold their value too.
Yeah, I bet they do.
They really
I bet
do.
they do. And we have a lot of those in this area.
We
because
do.
We don't. Well, I don't live in the most affluent section of the Albany neighborhood here, but man, the G wagons I see around here are incredible.
Haven't seen many new ones yet though.
Yeah, right. That's
The
true. That's true. A
newest
couple.
one. Yeah.
Couple.
Yeah.
and then for me, in terms of being impressive, something I wasn't expecting, the Lexus UX. We had the what is it, 250H?
Oh,
you guys a hybrid, huh?
Yeah.
We had the hybrid. You know, for around the town driving, I was very pleased. It's comfortable. You have Lexus levels of materials. Again, infotainment still far behind.
Yeah.
But in terms of driving and not having a
Yeah, I
bad
drove it.
time,
I didn't. It didn't make my list. It didn't leave an indelible mark on my.
I'm surprised because I feel like that's the kind of car Steve had.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I did not like it. It was okay. It was all right.
All right.
Yeah.
I liked the Elantra GT N line that we just had.
Yeah.
So it's the hatchback, kind of a GTI competitor, kind of not. It's not quite.
Now, isn't N-Line kind of comparable to like an AMG line? It's not a full-blown N, is what I'm trying to.
Correct. It's like so like BMW's doing the M340i. It's kind of like that.
Right.
So it's got think Veloster turbo motor. So what is it? A 1.6. It's a 1.6 turbo.
Yeah.
We had the dual
transmission.
clutch. You can get it with a stick. It's kind of the Veloster N, like 75% of the way there. More space, the correct amount of doors, and it was just I liked that. I thought that was a fun
I
car.
think it's a great driver's car.
I think I drove the Sport.
It's the same thing.
So the
They
sport,
updated
they
it this
renamed
year.
it?
Yes,
Oh.
they updated it
All
this
right.
year.
Yeah, I like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like the looks of it, and it's funny, if I remember correctly, I get a lot of negative comments on that video saying everybody, I like the look of the previous one better. I'm like, are you kidding me?
The redesign they did for this one, we had it in a dark blue.
Yeah. Yeah, so do
Awesome.
I. Yeah, I thought it was
Sport
nice.
seats, heated,
See, you're wrong.
heated, everything. It was great, and it was I think like 31 grand.
Yeah, I mean, their dollar per
Yeah.
power per performance quotient is awesome.
Yep.
So what else you got there? Is that your?
I think that rounds up the list. I think the people want to hear are
Yeah, disappointing. That's what
Yeah.
people love negative stuff, don't they? They're waiting for this. They just fast forwarded to this part. Especially when I kick off with the Tacoma I last drove. I'm sorry.
We'll move on quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Really. I've said all I can say about the Tacoma. It's. I know it's been upgraded somewhat for 2020. I drove a 2019. I think this most recent incarnation of the Tacoma is a major disappointment.
Yeah.
I drove a Range Rover Sport plug-in hybrid back in the summer. It's a 2020 model. I believe it was their first plug-in hybrid attempt. I think you can also get it in the big Range Rover now.
Yeah.
It did not make any sense. Like,
Just get the
people in that.
V6.
People of that ilk are not going to care. It didn't get a lot of range. Just whatever. The Ford F-150 Raptor. I love the Raptor. The new shocks they put on the Raptor really took the on-road drivability down a couple of notches. It's not as on-road compliant as it was. Still is a beast off-road, but that was a little disappointing for me.
I noticed. I agree with that, and I noticed it when I was driving on New York City after the auto show.
Yeah.
I got picked up right in front of the Javits, drove it right out the West Side Highway there, and every spot you hit, you can feel it.
It used to be great.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they changed the shocks. And
Yep.
it's like, oh, guys, come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
not as good.
No,
I mean it's still fine.
Oh yeah. It's not like a deal breaker for me necessarily, but I preferred it the way it was before.
Yep.
And this is my most disappointing vehicle this year was the new Mazda 3. I drove the sedan. Oh, I mean, what the heck? What happened to Mazda?
I got to jump behind the wheel of one down at Monticello, drove it on the road, drove it on the track.
You drove the track?
I think.
Well, they had a hatchback.
They had a hatchback with the manual transmission.
Yeah, okay, that's.
But you know what? The motor was just gutless.
Oh, I mean, we know Mazda doesn't give us power. We all know that by now.
Not true. Not with that. Now that they have that Turbo 4 in the Mazda 6
well,
and the
okay.
CX-5, that's pretty quick.
Yeah.
But
But in general, they're not known as some
Correct.
company that's going to give you a ton of power. But that car, they're pushing the whole brand upscale right now. And so the interior is like, wow, this is impressive. This feels like you're in a mini luxury car.
Yeah.
And then you drive it and you're like, zoom, zoom is so far in the rearview mirror now. It's like,
It was so flat.
oh, brutal.
I don't even think they send them with that license plate. For
No, that tagline's gone.
Yeah,
Sad.
for sure.
And it should be. The Mercedes-Benz C300 Cabrio I drove was so underpowered, so underwhelming for the money. I couldn't. And I love convertibles, and normally I can just get in any convertible and just have fun with it. And that car was always reminding me that it was like so expensive for so little.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think on our list of disappointments is another Mercedes, the CLS 53.
Oh, yeah, which I drove. Yeah,
that.
I agree with you guys. Yeah, I actually drove it a little while.
Did you?
From Albany when we dropped Chris off back to the house here. Yeah.
Yep.
I think it looks great. I think the materials are great.
Yep.
But in terms of driving like a Mercedes, it wasn't the full AMG that you would expect from a true AMG, and it didn't feel like a Mercedes. It got lost in that space in between.
It was stiff.
It was very stiff.
Whoa, you feel everything.
That was on air suspension too.
Yep.
And the other thing is, that engine, so that had the 48 volt hybrid system in there.
Mild
That's
hybrid.
their EQ.
EQ boost.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. I can't wait to see that in like the next C class or whatever they do with that. That's great tech. But didn't sound that good.
Yeah.
I mean, straight sixes are supposed to sound good. That one didn't sound that great. We had the $1,250 performance exhaust on that car. Wasn't very loud, and it's just the way that the car drove and everything like that. I didn't think was befitting a full AMG badge, which technically those 53s aren't, but they market them as such.
Right.
So people are going to go in there and expect a full 53 or AMG. So I would steer clear from that.
I've got three more quick ones here for you. The Lexus IS 300 F Sport is so underpowered.
They're still making it.
I can't get over it. I mean, it didn't go anywhere, that vehicle.
Yeah.
The Porsche Cayenne S, major disappointment. A new Cayenne, you had to think it was going to be better in some way. It looks as old as ever. It looks as froggy as ever. It was as expensive as could be. It had some of the Panamera bits in it, which were okay, but overall, just a disappointing SUV. I haven't looked at sales yet, but I would have to imagine that the Macan just eats that up, because the Macan was fun.
Yeah.
The Cayenne is now boring and understated.
So what you're saying is buy a Q8.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or an X7.
Or an X7. Get an X7.
And last on my list, I got killed for this too, but it was true. The Subaru Outback had their eyesight system so in your face all the time. And I've seen other people who have bought it comment on my video, they say the same thing, that it is just so intrusive. It's like Subaru wants to show you every second you're in that car that we've got all these wonderful safety technologies and we're just going to have every buzzer and button and light flash every second. And a lot of the stuff is cumbersome to turn on and off. I thought the styling of the car was okay, and I liked the placement of it in terms of its off-road capabilities and size as a wagon.
Yeah.
But that alone would have me running away from that vehicle.
Well, I drove the Forester with you and we had the same problem.
Yeah. The
It's
Forester I felt a little, I don't know why, I felt a little less bothered by it all. But the Outback that I had, which was the top of, I think they have the touring trim now is what it's called. And it had everything on it, and I was like, my gosh, would you just leave me alone for 2 I just want to drive the car.
Yeah.
So that is my, do you guys have any more to add to that list?
That we didn't like?
Yeah, most disappointing.
Um,
Oh, I've got one more while you're thinking about that.
Go ahead.
This is for my viewers. I'm most disappointed in some of my viewers for my Q3 video that I posted recently, where I reenacted a bit from Colonel Jessup from the movie A Few Good Men. I got all these comments. Nobody had seen the movie. It's like one of the best movies of all time. It's on TV for free every day for 25 years.
You can't handle the
And
truth.
yeah, people, Steve, what are you doing with this military reenactment? Oh my God. So that's on these guys. The most disappointing viewership.
Yeah.
Audi Q3. My acting wasn't great, but I mean, you know,
You're no Jack.
it was like verbatim. I had all the words changed in it. It was great.
I'm gonna throw the Outlander partial hybrid.
Oh, the PHEV?
Yeah.
Did you know that's the best-selling PHEV in America right now?
I don't doubt it, but I mean,
You see a lot of them.
yeah.
That was, I drove it as well, but it was from a little bit longer ago.
And we had the updated like battery and everything like that. You had it before because it could charge faster now.
It supports
this
level
year.
3 charging,
Yes, it does.
which is the only plug-in hybrid vehicle that does that.
The
Correct.
tech is
I'm just
there.
playing devil's advocate here with you.
It's
I know.
affordable. I was just
Affordable?
I was just disappointed.
Yeah, I mean the
Well, how
interior.
could you not be? It's Mitsubishi. Sorry. I mean, I root for them. I don't pick on them. I hope that they can turn that ship around over
Yeah.
there. But man, some of the stuff they do is,
I'm throwing one out there that he drove,
what's that?
the XT4.
Did you hate that?
I didn't think it was that good.
Ah.
For what you got, for how
Yeah.
much that car was.
It was.
We're talking about Cadillac, by the way.
Yeah, sorry, Cadillac XT4.
I think
The one we had, no sunroof, and it was what, $50-something thousand, $55,000,
I
something
know.
insane.
The interior was a bit of a letdown.
Yeah.
But I thought the driving experience was fine.
I thought the driving experience, the ergonomics were great.
Yeah.
Looks cool.
And I think it's big enough in that class. I think it looks cool.
I would almost throw the XT6. I drove the XT6. I kind of, like, I didn't include it on any of these lists because it was kind of like a tweener. There were issues
Yeah.
with it. But I kind of felt the same way about the XT4. It's like, it's not quite there. I wouldn't put it on my
There's
recommended
better
list.
cars out
yes,
there.
that's a
than
good way to
that.
put it. Yeah.
That's,
You
I
could
guess
do
that's
that.
my problem,
You
because
could do
Cadillac's in such a state of like mediocrity right
Right.
now
Yeah.
that they just need something that's gonna hit it out of the park.
They need a Blackwing V8 and an XT4.
It doesn't look like the Escalade's gonna do it either. So
All right, so next on my list here, I'll just bang these out fast because a lot of these were on other lists, but my most fun drives, I'm talking from a pure fun standpoint, wouldn't necessarily want to own it, but it was fun to have it. The Toyota 86 GT, older than dirt, still a blast to drive.
It's so raw.
It is so much, I was surprised by how much fun I still had in it. It's slow.
It's analog.
Yeah, it is analog, and I enjoyed that actually. The Hyundai Veloster N, the Jeep Gladiator I put on my most fun to drive list. Again, wouldn't probably be my choice in that mid-size truck segment, but when you can rip all the doors and roofs off of a vehicle, how can you not have fun? The Challenger Hellcat Redeye wide body, of course, the Jetta GLI, and I love the i8. It's a car that gets a lot of bashing in my little world here. And it's because people get their heads too stuck into a stat sheet of a car when you just have to appreciate the aesthetics of a vehicle. And I think that's what the i8 does. It looks so cool still. Had the Roadster, drove it back from New York City after the auto show this year. I missed having the extra 2 seats, to be honest, but I just think that is a cool, technologically advanced vehicle. It's almost like a rolling science experiment that looks so futuristic. Looks like nothing else on the road. Argue that.
And I think they're canceling. I think they're canceling it after this model year.
Yeah, they probably will.
Yeah,
they'll come out with something else though. I mean, obviously, when it gets, I think it got about 30 miles of electric before, which obviously in today's world, that's not going to really wow anybody.
Right.
When you've got electric vehicles that can push 300 miles now with like the Mach-E and stuff. But
yeah. Well, you can buy one for 45 grand. So.
I want one. Well, then somebody please start a GoFundMe for
GoFundMe for
yeah.
Steve Hammers.
Yes, please. Okay. Most fun?
Most fun. I got to spend an extended amount of time in the revised Mustang Shelby GT350.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was phenomenal when it was new. It's just as good, if not better.
Sounds great.
It sounds great. It's so that engine is just so electric to drive. It makes it just lifts the whole car.
Yeah, it's great.
And the revised suspension fixed some of the tram lining that I think you and I both experienced.
Oh yeah, big time.
It just felt more settled.
Totally.
And absolutely.
I think the most fun I had this year was in the Jaguar F-Pace SVR. I know you don't like the F-Pace.
I'm not a big F-Pace guy.
When you put
when
that
you
motor
hear
in,
it,
Yeah,
and when you drive it, see the thing is, it's not the segment leader in as far as like the sporty SUV. So we also had the Stelvio Quadrifoglio about
I like that.
a week and a half before that car.
Right.
That would blow the doors off it in a straight line, around corners, everything like that. The Stelvio is a car that is dressed as an SUV. The
Right.
Jaguar is a little bigger,
Right.
and interior's nicer.
Oh.
And Jaguar has free maintenance.
Right. Oh, we all know
Neither
that.
one are reliable.
We know about
Let's
Alpha's
just
problems.
But I think the V8 you just can't beat, and I think that was the most fun that I've had this year. Just because of everybody looks at it and they hear you coming before they even see you, and then you just look like a regular Jaguar SUV. Because I think the F-Pace is a good-looking SUV, but what they did with the SVR didn't ruin how it looks. It just looks better. So
The brand, not to get off on a different topic here, but Jaguar as a brand, it seemed like about 4 years ago they were doing this, and now it seems all of a sudden like, where did they go? What happened?
Yep.
What happened? Have you ever seen an I-Pace on the road? I haven't.
I've seen one.
Couple.
Okay.
Yeah, they're out there.
And then I just have one here for best looking vehicle. I wanted to make sure this got on the list because I think this is such a sexy car. Is the Infiniti Q60 Red Sport, which is the coupe version of the Q50.
Yep.
Again, not new. I did drive it this year. It's not the best driving car in the world, but man, it just makes a presence when you show up.
I think they've mislabeled that car. Red Sport gives you this preconceived notion that it's going to be a sports car.
Right.
It's a GT car.
It's a GT.
If you think about it as a GT car
Yep.
and you ride around in the GT car, the one that we drove this year had the optional sport exhaust.
Yeah. I think they have the same car.
We did.
In that cherry red.
Yes.
It's
Beautiful
It's
color.
a looker,
Yeah.
the white interior. You can
Yeah,
drive
white
a long
interior.
way in that car.
Yeah.
And you're right, it's absolutely stunning to look at.
Yeah. That's a great job by Infiniti. I hope they continue that model. I don't know what the future holds.
I
for
think
that.
they're coming out with a higher performance one.
Are they?
That's gonna
Nice.
go after like the C63s and stuff like that eventually. So we'll see.
You guys have a favorite good looking car on your list over there?
I mean, we drove the same thing.
So probably that.
That was one of them.
I'll give a most improved shout out to Lexus for the ES.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah. It
think-
was cool.
I think their design language has been so
Yeah.
busy recently.
Right.
To
Yeah.
see the simplicity kind of come back into the lineup with that body style. We drove the F Sport,
Right.
so you had a little bit different front end and rear end.
I just had an LS 500H, and
Again, too busy.
I kind of like the looks of it.
I like how they.
I think it's pretty staid from the A-pillar back.
Yeah.
Obviously, the grille takes all the attention up front, but
Right.
so lastly here, we want to talk a little bit about some of the new technologies that we experience in these cars. I mean, we drive everything. I mean, you name it, we drive it. So we kind of experience these technologies first. And there's one that there's a few actually. I would not buy a car without blind spot monitoring. And it's amazing. Of course it's Toyota, they leave it out of some of their cars. Like, it doesn't even make the Toyota safety sense in the Corolla Hybrid. I'm driving a $50,000 4Runner without it. Surprise, surprise. But blind spot detection in that whole sea of radar and camera-based systems, which includes forward collision warning, lane keep assist, blah, blah, blah. That one to me is the most usable in everyday situations. Yeah. Agree or disagree?
I agree. And the best adaptation I've seen from it was we had it on the Kia K900.
You drove that this year?
Yep. The blinker, you turn on the blinker.
Yes.
Camera in the gauge cluster for either side.
Right.
So Honda had it for the passenger side for a long time.
Right.
This is both sides. It shows you blind spot in the heads-up display. Yep.
I love that. When you can see it in the heads-up display. I mean, it's like, talk about not having to take your eyes off the road.
Yeah.
What a great safety feature.
That car's great.
That should be standard.
Mazda has it also in the heads-up display.
Yes, right.
But that K900 is a technological masterpiece, I think, when it comes to that, because it's usable, because it's not a Lexus LS with the mouse, touchpad, and the K900's got the wheel still, but it's also a touchscreen. So,
I mean, I could do without lane keep assist. I could do without forward collision alert, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously, you're not going to use those as often, hopefully.
Right.
But lane keep or blind spot warning or blind spot assist, depending on which system it is something that's just so everyday convenient. Like when I have a vehicle now without it, I really miss it. The other one is wireless Apple CarPlay. I have an iPhone. You guys don't.
Correct.
So for me, it's a big deal. But BMW pioneered it years ago in the 5 Series. Now it's moved into other models, and now Audi's doing it as well. I don't know why the other manufacturers haven't done this, but when you have a wireless charge pad in a car and you don't have wireless CarPlay, what's the difference? I still have to bring my cable anyway. Right. It makes no sense.
I'll turn it around from an Android owner perspective. The slower adaptation of Android Auto, especially in the Toyota and Lexus brands. The new RAV4 we drove, 2019, brand new generation, totally redesigned. You get Apple CarPlay, but you don't get Android Auto until 2020.
The 4Runner I have here doesn't have it.
Yeah, but to launch your #1 selling model in 2019 and not offer both.
It's the drum brake company, I call them.
Well, but then BMW turns around and puts Android Auto behind a monthly subscription paywall.
No.
They just fixed it.
It
was Apple CarPlay, and they just eliminated that.
Android Auto comes in July of 2020 for the first time in any BMW.
You're right.
So, yeah, I like wireless CarPlay. I don't know enough about the technology. There must be something about it why like other companies aren't doing it. I don't get it, but I love the fact that they do. When I have a vehicle with it, I love it. It's just so nice to be able to keep your phone in your pocket, not have to take it out, plug it into a cable, so forth. And aesthetically, it looks nicer in the cabin.
Phones are so big now. I also appreciate companies that have left a bin that has enough space to just set your phone down.
Yeah. Well, how about those Ram pickup trucks with that huge, big, long, wide? You could put like an iPad in there.
Yep.
And the last one I have on my best tech list of things I would really want, I love heads-up displays. Some are better than others, but I think just keeping your eyes up high, especially in a performance vehicle, when you really want to, not take your eyes off the road, it's a great thing to have.
Yep.
Totally agree. I like the systems that display it right on the windshield rather than have a separate little
like
piece
Mazda.
like Mazda. I feel like that's a better solution.
Yeah. Like Mini.
And some of the most fun you can have at night is to turn all of the cabin lights all the way down and just have your HUD, your headlights and everything in front of you.
Yeah. Cool.
It's just a blast.
Cool. Is that our list? Is that it? Did we name everything? Did we go through everything we wanted to talk about?
I think so.
Well, thank you for watching. I hope you guys all have a happy New Year and a Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah and everything else. If you would please subscribe to my channel, I would greatly appreciate it. You can find that link right below this video here, and you can join the others and 70,000 or so others. Would like to get that up a little bit higher, but we're working on it. And I'm still churning out more videos this year, so this is not the end of the line. It will continue on from here. I've got the 4Runner this week. And a bunch of cool stuff coming up after that. What do you guys have coming in? Anything good?
Through the end of the year, I mean, just my story on spending an entire month with the Shelby as a year-end review.
Yep.
So it's limitedslipblog.com.
Yep.
Limitedslipblog.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah, find me on Twitter too, would you please, at Drive Time Videos. That's at Drive Time Videos.
Yep.
Is there anything else bothering you that we want to get off our chest for the 20? I know we're going to forget something. We're going to shut the camera off here, and we're going to say we wish we had mentioned something or other, but I can't think of what.
I would say favorite of the year. I think your industry. I'll call it a rant. Video. I think from seeing it on the inside.
Yeah.
I think
Some people want. Yeah, that is on my YouTube channel. I get accused all the time. Anytime you're a critic of something, anytime you review something, somebody's always going to call you out. For instance, I wake up to these comments every day. It's the funniest thing. The Mazda 3, which I didn't like, and I gave a negative review to, I get comments every day. Oh, Toyota, how much did they pay you? How much did they pay you? I wish somebody would pay me to lie. Give me the money, I'll do it. I don't care. I'm a sellout. But unfortunately, it doesn't work. I mean, if you are honest with the manufacturer, if you are honest with your viewers, and you relay your pros and cons in an educated way, like that's, I've never had one manufacturer in 21 years come to me and say, Steve, that review was negative and we're not going to work with you anymore. They understand. They're giving you cars for editorial purposes. And that's the way it is. You're going to like some, you're not going to like others. And they realize that their products aren't all winners. That's the way it goes.
Right.
Okay. Often. So anyway, have a happy new year from the Limited Slip blog and from Drive Time Productions and Test Drive Now. I wish you all a happy and healthy new year. We'll see you soon.